Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And welcome to the
Hi.
PC Gamer Show. Sorry about the hiccup there. Twitch was having issues almost directly that coincided with our start time, so we were refreshing and scrambling to get things going. You'll see with me, we have Bo in person, as usual.
Hello.
Our technology editor. How you doing, Bo?
I'm doing well.
Good. And we have the computer face back, maybe not in its ideal form quite yet. We still got to get this vertical portrait mode hashed out so Chris doesn't look like a tiny man. I assure you he's very large and in charge. How you doing, Chris?
I'm not that large and definitely not.
He's just
not in charge.
He'll
of
be
anything.
definitely in charge.
He'll beat your ass. He's scary. And so a couple things. Forgive me for my voice maybe being a little gravelly. I was out last week a little under the weather, sick as hell. But it might make for good radio. At least I can get down here. And if the levels are off in the audio, I had to, kind of put this thing together, get Chris on. If you can't hear him too well, just let me know, and I'll pop him up or turn him down, and we'll kind of see how that goes as we go through with the show. Thanks, guys. All these people are happy to see me back. It's making me feel very warm and fuzzy inside.
That's good when you're sick. You want to feel warm and fuzzy inside and not like cold and shivery.
It was a long week. But let's get right into it. I think we're going to open up with just some breaking news.
Some stuff happening.
There's a lot going on in PC games, and it's not even like the busy time yet.
Yeah.
So I'm horrified. I don't know how you guys feel coming into the busy season, but it already feels like a little too much to handle at times. To start, though, this week, the Destiny 2 PC beta has kicked off, and I've been playing since Monday. Have you guys had a chance to get in there? Do you even give a damn?
I didn't play any of Destiny 1, so I'm pretty ambivalent.
Right.
And I'm not just super hyped about it. Mm-hmm. Having said that, it does seem like a pretty cool game, and having it on PC is pretty enticing, so to speak.
It's very nice.
And yeah, so I will probably give it a shot. Maybe I'll try the beta out. Maybe I'll just wait for the live version and play it there. But yeah, that is a long way of saying no, I have not played it.
Chris, do you care about Destiny?
I have not played it yet either. I did not play the original. It's something, since there are some pretty big fans of it at PC Gamer, I think it's something I would definitely love to jump into with some experts at some point.
Yeah. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it because I think I'm going to try and get Tim on the show next week to just...
Yeah, he's playing a ton, and
yeah.
he'll be playing the console version.
We'll both be playing the console version a lot because we need it. We need it now. We don't want to wait 2 months for October 24th, I think. But I think I just want to touch on the good news coming out of the beta. I think overall the response has been pretty positive because it runs well. It has all these really cool features. I did just a quick comparison.
Looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Runs pretty well on machines that are a couple years old, some old GPUs. And we'll have. I just want to point out that we will also have Jared, our hardware expert. He's diligently benchmarking this game or the beta right now. So we'll have a performance analysis, a complete performance analysis in the next day or two.
Pretty soon.
I posted in chat kind of a big selling point for the game, I think, is it's 4K, what it looks like in 4K, and it's been displayed in 4K at 60 frames a second, almost at every event it's been on display. So, Jared...
It seems not too difficult to get 4K.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Despite it looking really, really good, they've tuned it pretty well, from what I can tell.
Yeah, so I think the big takeaway from that list I posted in chat, Jared broke down what you need to run the game at 4K at 60 frames. And he broke it down by, some of the more popular and more powerful GPUs. You will need a powerful GPU to do that, no surprise. And kind of the settings you should turn off and on to hit that benchmark. So if you're, looking to get or, have been waiting for a game to push you into the 4K monitor market, it's one to maybe think about. I don't know if we're quite there yet as a whole, but, if you like me, just like everything looking as pretty as it possibly can all the time, no matter how much it costs you or your family or the quality of your life, check it out.
So does this feel right now like, because I feel like we hear every time there's like a port situation, the developer or the publisher says something like, the PC is really important to us. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff just for PC, and then that's not always the case. As I feel like, sounding like at least some real attention's been paid, as far as you can tell.
Yeah. I mean, some of the big check boxes are there. I did an FOV comparison, just a quick and dirty one. You can find on our news stream. There's every kind of advanced graphical setting you would want is there, and there are more to come. I know that some of the final post-processing options aren't there yet, but we have word they will be. And from what we can tell, they all do. They all make a difference, and they all achieve a sharp, clean look that can't be achieved, I think, on a console. Even like the PS4 Pro or Xbox One X, they won't come close. Not to like toot our own horn, but that's what we do here. I think it's expected of us. PC is gonna be the place to play it, and I don't know. The beta, if anything, is making me sad that next week I will be playing the console version back at that tight FOV and have to wait like about 2 more months for the PC version. But I think developers will talk a lot of game, to meet a marketing message that the PC version, we love the PC. It's we're paying a lot of attention. This seems to be they weren't joking.
Yeah.
They weren't joking. So very happy, very, very happy to see that. Real quick, Tool727 just subscribed, so thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. If I miss you, just send me a bunch of angry PMs in chat, and I'll eventually get to you. Moving on from Destiny 2, have you guys heard of this game, Half-Life 2?
What? What's that game?
Half-Life 2.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah. It's a fairly popular game from the 2004. When did it actually come out? 2004? Am I crazy?
2004.
I was 14. I was in the back of a Radio Shack in the internet cafe, and I remember this like dude who looked like, God, what's the scientist's name? I'm forgetting.
Gordon Freeman.
Dr. Kleiner.
Dr. Kleiner. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of scientists in that game, I should say.
The one guy. What's the name of the guy?
Yeah. I remember him. I wasn't really a PC gamer at that point. I would just like play Counter-Strike with my buds. I don't know. This is turning into like James remembers the first time he saw Half-Life 2. But I remember looking at like he was playing it on a CRT, some dirty old huge CRT. Looked like it weighed like 400 pounds. And he got to that point where I think it's Red Letter Day is the name of the chapter, and it's when you first enter Dr. Kleiner's lab, and you get your suit back, and there's like this magnifying glass you can look through and put objects beneath. And I'd never seen like anything so impressive graphics wise in my life. All this to say,
it's a game you're familiar with.
Yeah, it's a game I played once and fell in love with. Half-Life 2 was built to be episodic. There was episode 1, episode 2. There was word of episode 3
allegedly
years and years back, but nothing ever came of it. I think we are all aware that Half-Life 2 episode 3 and Half-Life 3 are sort of, well, they may never happen. And if they do, it's going to be something probably totally unfamiliar. But the writer, the X-Valve writer, I should say, Mark Laidlaw, who penned those games, or at least like the primary beats of those games, on his personal blog, put out in the framework of a fan fiction with gender-swapped characters, so as to avoid, I don't know, getting in trouble with Valve. We don't know if this was approved or not. We don't want to speculate.
Well, he recently left. He left Valve. He's
right. I just don't know if this had like some kind of unspoken blessing, or if he was trying to avoid. Either way, it's different enough to kind of stand as a legal or an original work, and it kind of just runs over the big beats of what would have been episode 3. Did you guys read this?
I didn't actually. I'm
Okay.
sort of staying away from it in the distant hope that like the game itself might actually happen one day, and then I can experience that unspoiled.
Right. And that's
it's like a weird version of spoilers, even though this is probably like the only version of the game that will ever exist.
It's so weird. But yeah. Did you play the original series?
Yeah.
So you're aware of the plot. Okay.
For the most part, yeah.
Cool. What about you, Chris? Did you read this?
I was going to read it right now, but then I saw it was long, so I started reading a synopsis of it on a different gaming website, and then I thought, you know what, it's really too late to do homework on it.
It's okay. I didn't want to spoil it right now anyway, but
well, it's kind of like I don't think anyone was sitting around waiting for Half-Life 2 Episode 3 to ever come out at this point, and
I
think
feel like a large portion of the internet
came out of it. I was going to
disagree.
some of this stuff at the beginning of the game because it did leave us in kind of a weird spot. But in a way, it kind of feels like this is kind of like, this is never going to happen, and that's why it's probably time to post something about it.
Yeah.
Also, I can't hear you right now. Is that just me?
Oh, you can't hear us? Did you lose us, Chris?
Okay, continue.
We'll troubleshoot that one sec. I'll post the link to it in chat, or at least our story on it in chat. I do want to touch on just, I guess, first of all, what is your impression, Bo, or like how does it make you feel knowing that this is sort of potentially how this one of the most beloved series in gaming closes out? Potentially.
Yeah,
potentially.
It feels a little bit like, it feels kind of like the TV shows that are really beloved, but then got canceled too early, but then get like a Christmas special or a movie or something. Like, the perfect case is like Firefly and Serenity. Like you got Serenity, which in a way wrapped up the story and was an ending point for these characters, but it also wasn't like another season of Firefly. And so it feels where you kind of at least you get something, and you maybe I say this having not read it, but it's like it's a little tease of what it could have been, but a little bit of a letdown when compared to what it could have been.
Right, and having read it, I read it immediately because I don't know, spoilers aren't a thing for me, and people probably hate that around the office. I get into big arguments with Lucas all the time about what does not constitute a spoiler. Anyway, another discussion for another day. But there are some amazing, super strange beats that I can probably understand why they would have been hard to translate into a game, into game design, and the existing structure of the source engine and what they had previously built at that time. But that aside, I just want to cover your ears if you don't want to hear this, but I'm just going to say 2 words, 1 compound word maybe, and leave it at that. Okay, so ready? I'll give you guys like 1 second on chat if you want to just mute, cover your ears. Here comes Breen Slug. Spoiler over. Okay. Chris, what do you feel about like Half-Life 2 potentially closing out this way? Do you see any and do you think it will close out this way? Do you think this game is coming back? Is this just like a weird sort of circumstance of development hell and Valve growing too quickly and so on?
It would be really strange to me for there to not be anything else for Half-Life. I mean, I don't quite understand why. Why not just why didn't they just do an episode 3? I mean, how long were these games? They were, 6 hours maybe? The first 2 episodes? Maybe they were hoping to keep topping themselves, and maybe it would have just been slapping some sort of similar gameplay, or I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, it's been so long, I don't feel like this, rush of excitement thinking about Half-Life 3 because at this point, I have no idea what it would be. I don't know. I think it's a shame, I guess, that it just sort of tailed off and that we don't really know why. It is strange for the makers of such a popular game to not say anything about it, really.
Yeah, because on that point, we don't even really have a confirmation one way or the other, this is being made or this isn't being made. It's just the air, I mean, sitting in the air.
Yeah, Valve doesn't have very good, and maybe it's super deliberate, and I understand that they probably in a lot of ways know what they're doing. Otherwise, why would they be sitting on such a large growing pile of money? Assumingly, it's
I mean, the game is also, it's morphed into this thing beyond what the game could ever even be.
Exactly.
And, I mean, almost a more smaller example of this is with the, God, now I can't think of the name. What's the photography game that isn't Pokemon Snap?
Christ.
The Ubisoft game.
Beyond Good and Evil?
Yeah, Beyond
There
Good and
it is,
Evil.
there it is.
Like, that was a game that, you know, I can't remember if it was actually originally announced, but then disappeared for a while, or if it was just a game that people wanted.
Right.
And there was never any word of it. You know, at E3 this year, like, it was finally announced. Like, we're making this. This is a thing that exists. But then, you know, now that it exists, it has both this reputation to live up to, and it clearly has morphed into a very different game.
Yeah.
And it remains to be seen, like, what it will actually end up being, if it will have any of the heart and soul of the original, or if it'll be some totally different thing just that happens to be set in the same universe, or, you know. And so Half-Life 3 in a lot of ways is that same thing on an even more grander scale of it's been so long that the technology has changed completely. It has been so long that the story, like, do you finish the same story that you were in? Is it a successor but with at a different point in time? Is it a completely new story? Like, to my mind, like, Portal in many ways is the sequel to Half-Life. Like, it's a different game, but it's in that same universe, but it's like a side story. And and like, clearly Valve, they're very good storytellers. Like, all of their games have been, you know, they like I said, they made Portal after Half-Life, and it was very good. They made Portal 2, you know, years later, and it still has a great story and everything. So I don't think they're really hurting for ideas.
No.
But it just is like, if it ever comes out, like, how could it live up to expectations?
Yeah, and
Or maybe it would.
we can speculate endlessly about this, and I think we all pray for at least some kind of, I don't know, nail in the coffin, or the coffin to burst open, and for Gordon Freeman to step out and silently scream. But I will say, to close off this Half-Life topic, that Mark Laidlaw in his story, and I think he did a follow-up on Twitter, kind of doing a Q&A, or loosely referencing beats of the story and the development and so on, that he had intended for it to, much like Half-Life 1 did, sort of be a self-contained thing, that, you know, was related to what happened in Half-Life 2, but not vital to it. And he wanted a hard reset. So I like the idea of closure in that sense. Whatever we see Half-Life as next, I'm excited for it, even if we don't.
I think it might be a free-to-play card game. The next Half-Life.
Fuck. What if they fucking did that? Yeah. What if we were all misled? And what is that? What's that one called? They announced.
They announced it. Yeah, I can't even remember.
I don't know.
Called.
It's a completely uninspiring name. Like,
Yeah. It's some
it's so
Dota
boring,
term.
I can't even remember. Doesn't it start with an A?
Artifact.
Artifact.
Artifact. Oh my god! Why would you name your game Artifact? It's so boring.
Kind of paints it into its own special corner. But yeah, maybe it's a Half-Life card game. We get to see the G-Man again, if we're lucky enough to get him in our card packs. But let's move on from Half-Life 2. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Kanifu, who subscribed for 18 months in a row. God damn.
Awesome.
That's
a long
really
time.
Cool. We love having you around, and hope to see you for, well, until the end of our time.
Start
here.
with 18 months more.
50 years from now, Kanifu, you and I, it's just us. Moving on to another not so well-known game, PUBG. You guys still playing PUBG?
I never was.
You never were.
I never started.
Yeah, you're
I
just,
played the closed beta and into the first probably month of the early access, at which point I was just getting destroyed. I was like, I so much enjoyed the beta because like I did really well, and then as soon as like the general public got in there, and I was just getting my ass kicked constantly. So I have not really played much since then.
yeah, same boat. I hop in every now and then, like if there's a Friday and Friends and I are just like tinkering around online, don't know what to play. It's like a nice pub game where you can just, I don't know. I rarely give a shit about winning. I give more of a shit about shenanigans. But PUBG, some people don't give a shit about shenanigans or winning. They give a shit about loot. And I don't know, Bo, can you kind of walk me through what the latest controversy is here?
Yeah. So the story, this PUBGAFK, I'm going to call it. PUBGAFK.
Do not.
PUBG AFK. There are players who are, so apparently you earn loot in PUBG. I'm gonna say apparently through all this because I haven't played the game, so I'm probably gonna get some stuff wrong.
Sure.
But as I understand it, you earn points for getting kills, and more importantly for this story, you earn points for surviving. And in the time that it takes for you to like get in the plane, fly across the map, and parachute down at the end of the plane's route, takes like 4 to 5 minutes. And in that entire time, you know, most players who are actually normally playing, they jump out at some point before the plane reaches the end of the map. But apparently there are people who are just AFKing. They're just idling in the game. They'll join a game, let it sit for the 5 minutes or so that it takes the plane to go across the entire map. At the end of the plane's route, it auto jumps you out of the plane and auto deploys your parachute, and then you just stand there until you die. And
there's a few extra minutes too before the circle begins to close.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're on the edge of the map, you're not even, and no one happens to be near you, you're not going to be taking damage until that electrical field comes and gets you.
Right. So basically, like, somebody noticed that in some of their games, when the circle like first jumped in, like 17 people were just like dying immediately. And it turns out that people are doing this. They're just idling because in that 5 minutes or so, you earn survivor points, which these points can then be used to, I guess, buy loot.
You can buy crates,
loot crates. And then because this game is so popular, those loot crates actually have a little bit of real world value. They can be traded or sold or something. I don't totally
on the Steam
know.
Marketplace. You can sell items, individual items, and crates themselves. I don't know if crates themselves can be traded yet, but you know, cosmetic items go on sale, much like, you know, they do in Team Fortress 2 or CS:GO. And the marketplace has determined some of these are worth more than others. And given that people with enough desire for this item will, you know, find a way, the most convenient way to them, this seems to be like a natural byproduct of having valuable items on the marketplace that people want. If you can leave your game idling or leave your character idling and not be punished for it, you know, directly, and over time generate enough currency to get the otherwise unattainable thing, damn, you're gonna get some AFKers.
It's a system. I mean, so like like I said, haven't played PUBG, but my experience with a thing like this is it harkens way back to the days of Vanilla WoW.
Oh goddamn! Take me back, Bo.
There was a 40v40, one of the PvP battlegrounds called Alterock Valley, and it was this big, like, back in Vanilla WoW, these matches would take like hours, if not days, for them to complete because nobody was really completing the objectives. Like it was just this massive like PvP battleground where you could jump in and you would like fight, but like nobody was really doing the objectives. But one of the reasons why they would take so long to complete is because you would earn your like PvP currency just by like being in there, and as objectives were completed, like everyone who was playing would get a few points. It wouldn't be quite as much as if you were going and getting the kills yourself, obviously, but like you still earned a few credits or whatever they were, like medals or marks or something.
We're running out of names for in-game currency.
Yeah, seriously. And so people would just load up the battleground and then idle, either like tapping their keyboard to jump, or they would set up a macro to like auto make them you know, jump or rotate just enough, and it was a big problem because there were so many people. Like of the 40v40, like 10 to 20 people on each side were just standing in the entrance cave, like not doing anything. And yeah, and so eventually Blizzard did crack down on it. They made the report system, I think they made the AFK timers a lot more strict. It was something I don't really remember for sure, but they probably made the AFK timers stricter, and they made it so people could report AFK players, and then you would get like an AFK leaver penalty, and you couldn't rejoin for a while, and so that helped a lot. There were still people who would get around it, but it at least cut down on the issue considerably. I
gotta say, I know this like hurts the game and hurt a session. I love when people game games. Like I love when people figure out a loophole or an exploit. Like with this AFK thing in Battlegrounds. So you've got these, occasionally some groups AFKing and they're all landing together. Then there's also people who are pretending to AFK, landing with the AFK group and racking up kills by punching the AFK players to death. So you've got the exploiters, or whatever you want to call them, the AFKers, and then people taking advantage of them. And if this is a real problem, we're going to see, the developer do something like, okay, no longer will your parachute, no longer will you be automatically ejected from the plane. So then you'll see someone figure out, a bot or a script that will automatically jump them out of the plane. And it's just like this, it's like this constant pain in the ass, I think, for probably developers and players. But I love that people find ways to get what they want, out of something. It just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of ingenious.
It's admirable, in some respects.
No, I totally agree. I mean, the solution that I see for this situation, so the difference is it really a problem? You could say no, because they're not, like, the difference between this and like the WoW situation was, with WoW, it was like a team game.
Yeah.
So it was often a matter of like whichever team won was whichever team had less people AFKing on it. But with this, you're playing by yourself, so you're not really hurting other players by doing this. You're just kind of gaming the system. But if they do indeed deem it a problem and look for a fix, you could pretty easily like make it so you don't start earning these survivor points until you like hit the ground, or make it so you have to like survive on the ground for a few minutes before you start, then you get your bonus and whatever. But whatever they implement, if they do, again, like you said, I'm sure people will figure out a way to game it.
Chris, having investigated sort of contentious behaviors in PUBG before with your stream sniping piece, do you see? I'm forgetting the name of the developer. Goddamn, what are they called? Blue Hole. What kind of response do you see them taking here? Because they tend to like just ban willy-nilly.
They ban the shit out of people. Maybe they'll just start banning AFK. I don't know. It would seem to me that they need to, probably the best thing to do is to detect if someone is truly AFK and just not give them points to convince people it's not worth it. It already doesn't feel worth it to me. Like, I'll play the game and I'll last a long time, and I don't get any kills because I suck, but I'll last for most of the match, and it's like, you got 20 coins. I'm like, and then the next thing I need to unlock is like 1,700. I'm like, fuck no, man. And I just spent a half hour, running around and hiding. So I can't imagine even, idling for a day being any sort of really worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd want to be playing. It's not like they're making
thousands and thousands of percent.
No, absolutely not. It's. I think it's a problem, at least for truly at this point. Maybe you might see a surge of this behavior because, oh shit, look what we found out we can do. But in the long term, I think you can. The economy of that game, it would require basically a dedicated mining, like PUBG mining PC to make a difference. I mean,
that's part of the issue is right now the marketplace itself, the economy of this game is very new and volatile, and so
we'll see how it goes.
People are it's a gold rush, but I'm sure it will end, so to speak. Speaking of PUBG.
Yeah, speaking of PUBG, I'm surprised it took this long.
Pub GTA.
Oh, shit. I got to change the topic. Boom. I'm going to change the topic, Bo. Yeah, so Is that yeah, that's good enough.
We all sort of agree that PUBG is just like a horrible thing to call this game. I mean, the G stands for grounds. It's part of the word battleground.
I know. I don't know.
Like saying pub ground. I mean, I would rather say pub grounds, honestly, than PUBG. I was kind of internally saying like PUBG. Like,
me too. Me too.
PUBG.
I had a really hard time. Yeah. Or
it should really be just pub.
Yeah.
Just call it pub.
I mean, we literally had a conversation at one of our editorial meetings when we were like, do we call this game PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or Battlegrounds or PUBG? Like, what is the terminology that the community calls this game when it was a very new and infantile? I mean, it's still very new and infantile, but like,
we landed on PUBG.
PUBG is what what people
What
call
about
it.
I'm just registering my objection. Although
the grounds?
I don't like calling it PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds either because it's so long and takes up 40% of a
PlayerUnknown. You did a great job, but your fucking
terrible.
name is so long, man. It's so long. Also, Battlegrounds doesn't. Well, I guess it says what the game is, sort of. But come on.
Like you have to have PlayerUnknowns in there because Battlegrounds is so generic.
I guess. Yeah,
it's like both the most specific and
I guess I
generic
can't
game.
criticize the guy because he has the most successful game on Steam we've seen in a long time, a paid game especially. I think just last week it surpassed Dota in simultaneous players.
A lot of people.
Or peak player count. Anyway, let's move on to this Grand Theft Auto topic. But yeah, GTA Online took a while. It kind of got its own straight up battle royale mode in the Smugglers Run update. Did you guys read up on this? You guys know what this is all about?
I saw the headline and figured that was all the information I needed to learn.
It's pretty much that. The key difference,
like battlegrounds with cars and planes and things.
Yeah, so the key difference here is that, I mean, it takes place in GTA's big map, which I think is pretty conducive to a cool battleground style battle royale experience. Right, there's a lot going on in that map, including all of the toys and tools available.
When you say the map, is it like the full map of GTA 5, or is I haven't played any GTA Online, so I don't really know.
I think it's the full. You know, I haven't seen how the mode actually works yet firsthand, but there is a shrinking circle still. So I would imagine.
Okay. So it is the kind of thing that you like queue into, and it's a map with a shrinking circle.
Yes, yeah. So
interesting.
I don't know if you parachute in and all that shit too. That would be pretty funny if you did the exact same thing. I want to get in there and play it myself. I just hate GTA Online. The experience is such a dense thing. Anyway, but it's cool. The key difference here is you have the toys and tools available to you in the sandbox. So cars, all of the weapons, motorcycles, planes, presumably, and boats and shit like that.
Helicopters.
Yeah. The whole rigmarole. Also in this update is it called Motor Wars. These cars will Mad Max style have weapon attachments and weapons on them. So I think for the scale of GTA 5's map, that makes sense to emphasize car combat.
Well, so Motor Wars itself is this battle royale mode.
Excuse me. Smugglers Run is.
Smugglers Run is the name of the DLC,
the update itself, but Motor Wars is a mode included in this. So, what do you guys think about GTA kind of stepping into the battle royale arena? Do you think that's the kind of thing that can work or find a home?
I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, they have an engine, they have a format. It works. It's there, and more importantly, like they have a player base who are down for it. The thing is I mean, Battlegrounds itself was born out of Arma 3, right? It was a mod for Arma 3, and so I think that people will play it, but I don't think it's gonna like dethrone Battlegrounds or anything very much, because there are other standalone battle royale games, and it's just that Battlegrounds itself happened to be the right mixture of whatever it is that made it break out and do crazy. So sure, it makes sense that they're making this, and if they had come up with this before Battlegrounds, maybe it would take off itself. But as it is, I think people will play it, but I don't think it's going to be like that amazing.
Chris, do you have any thoughts on this particular take of battle royale combat?
Yeah, I could see it. Like, I wouldn't say like people lining up to buy copies if they hadn't bought
Yeah.
GTA 5 before, but I could see it like people who own it going, "Oh, that sounds cool! Like Battlegrounds with planes. Let me jump back into GTA Online. Maybe get them back in the game, back buying whatever you buy in GTA Online with real money. I don't know. And it's fun. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a fun mode. We had a piece about what games would be fun with the battle royale mode, and that was one of the games we named. And they actually went ahead and did it without actually naming it or mentioning the obvious influence of Brendan Green. But I think it's cool. I think we're going to see a lot more of it. We already have seen a few Battlegrounds type things pop up even before Battlegrounds itself appeared. There was Ark had their battle royale mode, and there was one called The Culling. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. So I think a lot of people are tinkering with it right now.
Yeah, I suppose I'm just not disappointed, but I'm surprised to see it sort of just lumped along. That sounds cruel, perhaps, but not given more, not more emphasis placed on kind of what it's trying to do. The images associated with the update are all just kind of cars. I would expect them to take a more sort of direct, attack for a battle royale mode. But I don't know. Maybe this is just them testing the waters. They do have Red Dead Redemption 2 in development, presumably another GTA, and who knows what kind of online plans they have for those. So either way, I think it's cool. I'll probably hop in and try it someday, maybe.
I bet Red Dead Online, whatever the online version of Red Dead is, will have a Battlegrounds type mode.
Probably.
What would be the shrinking circle in the Old West? Like, what would be a dangerous...
a big lasso.
A big...
Could be like a
cloud of
caravan
malaria or
Cloud of malaria.
dysentery or something?
Yeah, it could be like a dust cloud, like a
It could be dust,
sandstorm.
Tumbleweeds. Maybe it's like really deadly
Oh
tumbleweeds.
my God, I'm into that. I'm sold. Hit up Chris for some consultancy, Rockstar.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's move on to the top 100 PC games ever.
All time.
Sort of,
Yeah.
If you're unaware, every year, PC Gamer, we gather all of our editors and freelancers, and we vote on our, what was it, top 15 games
Top
this year?
15 games. Yeah.
And then a few editors look at that list, and based on the score or the number we assign each game, assemble a list of the top 100 games in PC gaming. It goes without saying that this is not the objective final list. This is going to stand the test of time forever, and it is 100%
this list
true.
is very much in flux. And an important point that I think is often missed by readers of our top 100 at least is the games, the way that we vote on games at least, is not the games that are most important or best of all time or anything. They are the top 100 games for you to play right now.
Yeah, that we would recommend.
There are some games that are very important from gaming history that are on this list because they hold up, because they are still very important and are worthy of you playing. But there are also games that do not stand, that were at one point incredibly important, but do not stand the test of time and are no longer worthy of inclusion.
And again, this is like, I don't know, we had something like 20 people. There's more than 20 people on the planet with opinions. So
Indeed.
Yeah. And this year we're trying something new. I'm going to post in chat a link. We are looking for the PC Gamer Readers Top 100. So if you go click that link and take part in our survey, there's a whole list of games and some write-ins and so on and so forth. You can contribute to your own kind of perspective and take on this. Tell us how wrong we are constructively. So without further ado, I think we're just gonna kind of drop down, scroll through this
Run through the list, like call out some of the important ones.
Yeah, let's see if I can full screen it. I don't know if that's gonna be a great viewing experience or not, but we'll try it anyway. All right. So we're not going to name all of them, but we're just going to give a quick scroll through. If you guys see something here with me, just call it out. when we get down to the top like 10 or 5 or so, we'll slow down and sort of maybe offer some longer thoughts. Dwarf Fortress made the list. We got Shadowrun, Dragonfall, never played it. Fear. Did you guys ever play Fear?
I never did. I'm not a horror game guy, even though I know it's not like super horror-y.
Fucking love Fear. Chris, give me a sentence on Fear.
It is super horror though.
Oh.
It scared the crap out of me.
Yeah,
the little girl. Like back before everything had a little scary girl, this was like a really scary. Really scary.
Yeah, Alma freaked me out. There's that first level, like you turn around and go down a ladder, and she's like, boop, right there.
It's the worst.
Sticks with me. But it also had really cool guns.
I want to call out Spider and Web because I feel like this is one that nobody knows of. This was a recommendation from Jody, one of our freelancers, and was there like #1 pick, I believe. I know nothing about Spider and Web. I don't really know anything, but apparently it is a free text adventure that is super good.
Okay.
That's all I really know about
check it out if it's free.
Yeah.
And you got
it's a free text adventure from 1998.
Go. Nidhogg. I love Nidhogg. Nidhogg 2 just came out, so I'm curious to see
also great.
that knock it off next year. Let's go to page 2. I'm a member of the PC Gamer Club, so I'm experiencing an ad-free website right now. Nice. Club.pcgamer.com for more information. Team Fortress 2. This is a surprising one. So I think last year it was position 20.
Yeah.
With games like Overwatch, I don't think it's the de facto character shooter anymore.
No. So. Overwatch, in a big way, moved in on that market. There's a lot of other kind of hero shooters. Mm-hmm. The waters have been muddied, and TF2 for sure is still a fantastic game. And obviously, it made the list, but it has fallen a bit.
I saw Resident Evil 7 made the list this year, so that's good. City Skylines is still there. Chris, do you still enjoy playing City Skylines? Number 82.
I tend to really only check it out when they release an expansion that I need to write about. But I always enjoy it. It's like a nice kind of relaxing for the most part.
Yeah.
It looks nice. It's enjoyable and it's fun to mess around with. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't think I voted for it to be on the list. Someone else did, but I think it's a good pick.
Got NetHack here.
Yeah, Wes has recently got me into NetHack. We talked about it on the show.
He's spoken, I believe, at length on the show about it.
Yeah. Keep going. I'm calling out this one. I've been fighting for years to get VV. They only have 5 Vs. We have a typo.
Was it supposed to be 6?
It's 6 Vs. Shit. If any of the editors are watching, go fix that. I get it though. There's a lot of V's. It's easy for them to become muddled together. VVV is one of my favorite platformers of all time. I think it's the perfect bite-size, minimalist kind of take on that kind of game. It's very delightful, incredible music. Mm-hmm. Lady Killer Bind is a new entry. It's cool to see a visual novel.
Game, yeah.
Let's keep it going here. Chris, you seen anything? You don't even. Does anything stand?
I can't see the list you're looking
at. Oh damn! Sorry. We got Plants vs Zombies is on the list now. I think that was your call, yeah, Chris? You voted for that?
I thought it was my personal pick. I don't know.
Maybe
I love it. It's a
got
good game.
Bumped onto the list.
So PopCap turned their back on PC. They were my heroes. But.
Yeah, Plants vs Zombies 2 never made it to PC. It's a free-to-play mobile game, right?
I think it made it,
or maybe made it.
It took forever, or there was some other game, but it was all kind of like gated progress and a break. PopCap.
58. We got Civ 6. That's cool to see. Civ is still good, as it turns out. I'm gonna drop down. If you got something queued up on your call outs, Bo.
Not really.
All right. Why don't we just let's
jump ahead to the front. You know, I figure it's worth calling out. Like there's 3 or 4 MMOs on the list. We have like WoW, Guild Wars 2, FF14, and Eve are all on the list. At varying positions, because those are all 4 games are worth playing for their own reasons. Mm-hmm. I believe the highest of all of those is FF14.
That MMO sounds really cool to me. I just don't think I'll ever have the time to play it. But hearing the way Steven just waxes poetic about it, I'm envious I never hopped on to begin with. At number 10, I'm just going to run through the first 5 of the top 10 pretty quickly. Spelunky. I recently wrote about how I don't get Spelunky, or I just can't get into it because of the jump. I don't like, the running and jumping. It just doesn't feel good to me. But regardless, mad respect for Spelunky. Derek, yeah,
I believe that's
sort of has a new game coming out, or a collection of 50 games. I'm forgetting that UFO 50. Is that what I'm thinking of?
I think
Yes.
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, we'll be seeing that at PAX.
Yeah, kind of a collaboration with other developers to make kind of a game collection.
Yeah, I mean,
It
sounds like something I would love to see, especially from him and his collaborators. You got 9. We got the new Doom. I don't disagree there. I think that's an excellent first-person shooter. If you guys disagree, if you're like abhorred something is in this top 10, I want to know. Or maybe if you're not abhorred, I want to know if you strongly disagree.
I don't know. Do we see ourselves playing New Doom like in 5 years? Thinking about it, you know why we don't? Because they didn't enable mods.
I agree.
We're still modding the original Doom today, however many decades later, and Bethesda just kind of closed it off to their snap map thing, and what a big mistake. You'd be
so disappointing.
You'd be crazy to not let people mod your game.
Yeah,
and they don't. But I don't know. Do you think Doom will be? Do you think we'll in 20 years we see like Doom? New Doom.
I think no. I don't think it'll be the. I think we'll look back and say, "Wow, Doom reminded us that first-person shooters can be something else."
I think that it is a really good example, and perhaps the best example of the current recent years kind of FPS single player FPS renaissance. That we have had with basically Doom, the new Wolfenstein, even like Titanfall 2. These kind of like linear single player shooters with like a good story, great feeling combat, and that have basically proven that a first person shooter doesn't have to be Overwatch, it doesn't have to be Battlegrounds, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be Battlefield, and so of those, that handful of really great single player shooters, we deemed Doom the best. So I think it is really important for right now, but no, I don't really think that it'll be an all-time kind of game.
The reason we still play old Doom today is because of mods and such, and brutal Doom, and closing that off means
But then, I mean, do we even have original Doom on this list? I feel like we might. I don't remember.
It's hard to say.
But it's like, is original Doom? Would you recommend somebody go play it right now?
I would. With
I feel
mods,
like it actually is. I can't remember.
I think it's still a lot of fun. I think that maybe if it's not on our list or it's at a lower position, it's temporary because of the presence of New Doom. It's like, we're very happy to see this resurgence, but over time, what will stand the test of time?
Indeed.
Alien Isolation number 8. It's a pretty good horror game. I don't like it as much as most people, but it's pretty dang good, I think.
That's what I hear.
Mass Effect 2.
There was sort of some contention, not totally, but so one of the things that we had to take into account when ranking this list was like, do you count sequels and trilogies and various entries individually, or do you count towards the series or something? And I feel like the Mass Effect 2 was a case where pretty much everybody voted specifically for Mass Effect 2 and not for like the Mass Effect series.
Exactly. It's a standout for me still. I think were you to play it today, you might note the shooting is maybe not top tier cover shooting and squad based combat, but I think the storytelling is still, and the characters are still pretty great.
The shooting is simply a method to refresh the conversations on the free ship. That's all.
Exactly.
They talk to everyone, they say everything, and go shoot this gun and advance to the next chapter of talking and sexual tension and hitting on everyone on my ship. So.
It's the part where you turn the page. Number 6, we have Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Again, I wasn't super into this game, mostly because I like the weird stuff in Metal Gear Solid. I hate long cutscenes, but I like the weird, and it was lacking a lot of the weird for me. But as a sandbox, stealth sandbox, I can certainly appreciate it.
It was a great stealth sandbox.
Oh yeah,
lots of fun and ways to do things.
I certainly miss my dog. I want to get back in there. Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Survive is still a thing, which is like have you guys been paying attention to this? The post Kojima multiplayer only sort of base building and defense game
Yeah.
in that engine.
And I heard it was kind of good, didn't I?
Yeah,
Didn't
Tim.
someone play it, and Tim was like, "This is actually kind of fun."
Tim liked it a lot. He was like, those Kojima loyalists are gonna think I'm getting paid or something. But yeah, we'll keep paying attention to that. 5 Portal 2. I love this game. Don't know if you guys know this. Portal tattoo on my back. I got a Portal tattoo on my back.
I did not know that.
Did you get it
but I
after 1
also
or
have
2?
not seen you without your shirt on.
That's true, but you have not. Things can change though. I got it after Portal 2. I don't really associate it with one or the other. It's just the series writing, the clever design and puzzles were like, I think at the time, especially Portal 1, blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And
personally, I like the first game more than the second.
Yeah, I think it's.
But it's also hard to gauge because the first one is a much more contained. It's like 3 hours long as opposed to a much more full length thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the first Portal in my mind is like just about a perfect game.
Yeah.
It's it's fun. The learning curve is perfect, and it's got surprises and a lot of humor, and it's over. It's like it's this perfect little nugget of game. And Portal 2 was obviously much longer, more elaborate. It was still a great game, but I think I would say Portal 1 is just about perfect.
Yeah, I think Portal 2 might be. I don't think Portal 1 made the.
No, we grouped them together.
Gotcha.
This, I voted for Portal 1. Many people voted for Portal 2, and all of those entries were lumped together.
I think,
and we talked about Portal 2.
It's easy to get both of them for pretty cheap. Portal 2 is probably one we'd say. Well, I mean, play them both, duh. But Portal 2 has the Steam Workshop support. There's so many amazing, clever maps you can just download and play.
And the big thing for Portal
mode.
2 also is it has the co-op mode.
Yeah,
that is like
so good.
Really,
if you haven't
really
played that yet, call me. Like, hit me up. I'll fucking play that right now. I'll drop this call. Let's go. Excellent game. I need to get my tattoo touched up. Looks like shit. For XCOM 2.
It's an outstanding game.
Great
I
game.
love XCOM.
Hey, and speaking of, we just got a review up for the expansion.
War of the Chosen.
It's pretty good. So PCGamer.com/reviews. I think it's on the front page, so you can go to PCGamer.com as well. It's supposed to be pretty damn good. I'd never finished an XCOM 2 campaign.
I haven't either.
But I sort of like just getting in there and until I feel too stressed to go on.
I think I've maybe once finished like an XCOM 1 campaign, but also perhaps not even that.
Yeah.
They go on really long. Really, really long.
Pretty great game. Number 3, Dishonored 2. So who here likes Dishonored 2? You didn't play it yet, did you?
I still haven't played it.
Damn.
I love Dishonored 1, and I still need to play it. Like, especially so because after recently playing Wolfenstein, like remembering how much I enjoy stealth games, I'm like, I gotta play Dishonored 2.
Did you like Dishonored 2 more or less than Dishonored 1, Chris?
I have not finished Dishonored 2.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't even get too far. I absolutely love the first Dishonored, one of my favorite games of all time. Definitely my favorite game the year it came out. Dishonored 2, I don't know. I like got part of the way in, and I felt like I was not like grasping things.
Okay.
I felt like I hear voices and I couldn't tell which direction they were coming from. It was like the worst stealth experience of my life because I just wasn't, I don't know, it didn't jam with me. So
were you playing Emily to
hope
start?
to go back and do it. What?
Were you playing Emily to start?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Should I start with Corvo? Would that be better?
Yeah, maybe. It might feel like, putting on a, I don't know. This is not an idiom, but I'm going to say it. It's like putting on a familiar pair of shoes. Is that a thing people say? Did I just make that up?
It is.
I don't know. I can't imagine a situation where I like leave shoes behind and then like return to them years later.
Oh yes, this old familiar pair of shoes.
Yeah. Anyway, I like Dishonored 2 a lot. I think its overall story is it's dog shit, but its individual like pocket stories and characters are just excellent.
I mean, that was a lot of how I felt about Dishonored 1. The overall story was like kind of whatever, but
it's
the
like
individual moments were
big.
really, really great.
It's political drama and betrayals, and it's sort of
it's kind of whatever.
I thought it was the first one was just so amazingly designed.
Yeah.
Like no matter what way you were playing through it, it seemed like the levels were built just for whatever play style you're doing. It was just really. And I just love that all these different tools they gave you, and you would kind of see a situation and you would think, well, what if I try this thing and this thing and this thing? And it like it would work. It was just really exciting to feel like you're figuring out your own solution and having the solution actually happen. It was pretty
Yeah, we'll move on here in a sec, but Chris, you should go back, and I don't know if you have to beat the game to enable it now, but since tinkering with those games is sort of your forte, they released an update that allows you to choose from Emily's and Corvo's powers, that entire pool. So that might be more your jam. Also, there's, I forget the name of the expansion, Death of the Outsider, or like Killing the Outsider.
Yes, I have to get in. I have to kill him. I hated him so much.
He sucks. Yeah. So
that is going to make me that. Okay, I'm going to play Dishonored 2 and the expansion because I want to kill that emo, annoying.
He was really the worst.
Demigod, whatever he is.
I'm like a teenager. I'm like, why am I listening to this guy? How do I skip his blather?
Yeah. So that expansion comes out like September 15th or something. So that's very soon. You get to play as, I'm forgetting her name, goddamn, but she's from the Billy Lurk. She's from the original series and Dishonored 2. So it's a cool perspective to take on. Moving on.
What's number 2? This is a game you are familiar with.
Do we know? I think we should skip this one. I don't think anyone's
Fuck that.
Nobody
likes
this
that
game.
I love this game. I love this series so much. Oh my god, you guys. I love Dark Souls. I had
no idea.
I love Dark Souls. Yeah, Dark Souls is by all means.
Dark Souls tattoo on your back?
Yeah, it's right next to the Portal one and also the Bubsy tattoo. But Dark Souls, by all means, is a god awful port of a console game. Yeah. It is absolute dog shit. But I think it got to this point on our list because this is a very triumphant thing for the PC gaming community and another reason to pat yourself on the back. But modders saved this game. Beyond its like super original design and multiplayer ideas and kind of emphasis on death and taking your time and yada yada, I can go on forever. DS Fix basically makes it a pretty excellent PC game. It's an easy mod to install. There are mods that have come out in recent months and years that make mouse play totally viable. There's all sorts of dumb, goofy character and weapon mods, like a fidget spinner weapon. Today we put one up on. I didn't read into it too much, but I think you can play a Space Marine from Warhammer 40K.
Why not?
So I think modders made this game like an ideal PC game. And there's also stuff to like make the online functionality more reliable. So and there's even a boss rush mod. There's just so many great mods that this game is. I don't know. It's hard not to recommend. Along with its excellent design. I won't wax too poetic about it, but it's so good. And no surprise here. Number 1.
It's a real good game. Witcher
3 Wild Hunt.
I feel like the number 1 entry is not actually Witcher. It's just Bathtub Geralt.
Yeah. He's we can't quite leave him behind.
When are we gonna get Beth Pub Geralt? Pub.
There.
God damn it, Bo.
I'm sorry. I apologize to everyone.
It's fine.
But actually, I don't.
It's fine. It's fine. God damn. Yeah. So, any thoughts on The Witcher? I think it's been it was our number 1 game last year. If I'm not
what was life like before The Witcher 3?
Yeah, I don't know. I like that game a lot. I'm curious to see what kind of jostles it out of the top position, either like an editor turnover or Cyberpunk.
Yeah, something. I feel like that's what it's going to be if Cyberpunk lives up to it.
Yeah. But I think either way, we all know it's a pretty excellent RPG. Great writing, great characters. It's a pretty good combat and beautiful open world. It looks great on a PC. It does, hits all the right notes for us. Any closing thoughts on The Witcher 3 or the top 100?
No, I think we about covered a lot of those games.
Yeah. So, moving on to the final segment of the show, I want to know what you guys have to ask us. It's the Twitch chat Q&A. Let me get the topic up because I'm getting better, guys. I'm getting better at getting the topic up. Q&A. See that? If you have a question for us about video games, any of the topics we covered today or anything in the news or anything you're playing, whatever it is, tag @PCGamer in the chat, and we'll see if we can answer your question. We will prioritize Twitch subscribers and club members. We have a couple club members who gave us questions already. If you don't know what the PC Gamer Club is, I won't talk about it too much right now, but go to club.pcgamer.com, get an ad-free experience. You get to join our Discord, and a couple other things that are pretty neat. Digital subscription to the magazine.
And most importantly, you get a high-res version of Bathtub Geralt.
You do. You get those
true. That's
desktop
really all you
images. So some pretty cool stuff. We'll start with...
I'm going to kick off the
Q&A
by looping around to a thing that we didn't do at the beginning. James, I'm going to ask you.
Oh, my God.
What are you playing?
Jesus, I totally missed it. We covered so much news. Oh, shit. We didn't even talk about Absolver.
Exactly.
We're running out of
I'm waiting
time.
for you to ask me what I've been playing.
I was looking at the clock.
Overwatch.
I've been looking at the clock. So, yeah, sorry. Get your questions ready, but I lied to you. We're going to talk about Absolver real quick.
Yeah. You played a little bit of it, right? Oh yeah, we actually ended up in a game together by accident.
Funny story. We all had this probably would not happen today, but we had early access to the game, being in media, and we were playing the night before release. I hop on. I'm in this open world. For those of you who don't know, it's like a third-person action kind of fighting game with some Dark Souls inspired sort of drop in, drop out, instanced multiplayer. I'm walking around the open world, and all of a sudden, what do I see? Who do I see standing next to me? It's Tyler Wilde. It just shows up in my world.
Right there.
Yeah, and so we go run around the world and beat some dudes up together. He's like, beat the game. He reviewed it for us, so you can go to pcgamer.com/reviews if you want to read the Absolver review. He liked it a lot, with some caveats. And then as soon as I'm about to leave...
Well, so from my perspective, Tyler was like, oh yeah, I'll be playing tonight.
All right.
I was like, okay, so I'll hop on, but like I shoot Tyler like a Slack message like, hey, I'm getting on. We're not Steam friends at this point. This was the problem. So I'm like, hey, what's your Steam name? No answer for a while. I then like get on Discord. I shoot him like a Discord message like, hey, this is me on Steam. Like, add me so we can play Absolver. So finally, I just log into the game. Or actually, at this point, I find him on Steam by way of like checking Evan's friends list or something. So I add him as a friend, but he doesn't accept my friend request right away. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go play Absolver. So I like load up the game. I'm running around, and then all of a sudden, Tyler and James appear in my game, and I was like, wait, what the hell? Like they're there.
Yeah, so that was like a funny way to meet up, but a really cool, I think, like an outlier example of what the potential for that multiplayer experience that game can give you. It's I don't know. I like the fact that people are dropping in and out of the world at random, and you can either team up or just beat the shit out of each other in these roaming kind of gangs.
It was fun playing with Tyler. It is frustrating trying to like actually play with someone because there's no in-game chat. If one person dies, you're like no longer in a party. Like there's not like a party system. It's just like you can basically temporarily choose to cooperate with people. And so that was pretty frustrating that like, I mean, there's no map, which is there is a map, but it's like you can only view the map when you're at campfires, and that's where the map is really obtuse to figure out, and it's so the world is not very big, but I spent so much time running around it because I'm constantly lost.
It's a maze.
So I definitely have some criticism of the game, but the fighting itself is really fun, and it's cool to unlock moves. I actually like have spent a fair bit of it recently, like offline, because I had some cool encounters with people, both playing with Tyler and after the fact, where we like ran and killed a tough enemy and stuff, and the guy, he was higher level than me, he was like, come this way, and I like followed him around, and it was really fun. But then after that, I'm like, I kind of just want to like farm moves for a little bit, so I was just like playing offline and attacking.
So if you don't know, like
kind of grinding,
the cool, I think, one of the big selling points of this game is the fighting system, and how you learn new moves. So you'll come across characters in the world and other players, and as you fight them, if they have moves you don't know, you will kind of gain progress for every battle you have, win or lose.
You learn. Well, no, you don't. If you lose the fight, you have to kill them or knock them out in order to get the progress.
I lied to you. You have to win, and then you see a little progress bar next to an icon representing a specific move.
And so specifically, it's that you earn progress to the moves every time you block or dodge them using that attack. So it in the same way of a real learning to fight type thing. You're like, you have to defend yourself, and as they're using this thing, you learn more and more about it, and then you can eventually use the attack yourself once you have unlocked it.
And from there, you can sort of, using four stances that you can switch between using one of the sticks and a trigger, chain together the combos that you pull off using a light attack button and a heavy attack button, and ending a combo changes your stance. So you can kind of choose, okay, I want to do a combo in this like forward facing stance that will end me in this kind of back left stance. And that combo, a combo I assign that quadrant, will take me back to a different stance. So you can kind of chain together
these, like, you can either make short chains that'll always loop back to the same one, or you can make a long chain that will go on for a very long time. And there's a lot of customization that you can really do to this fighting style. And like, I've been playing it maybe like 8 or 10 hours at this point, and I definitely have barely, like, of the content of the game, I feel like I've gotten maybe 60 to 80% way through it, but in terms of the depth of the combat system, I've barely scratched the surface.
Do you think it's the kind of thing that's, do you feel like, okay, I haven't played maybe 2 hours of it, and my question is, the single player stuff, or at least like the campaign story stuff, where you're exploring the world and fighting sort of these mini bosses,
the marked ones,
the marked ones, it seems interesting, but do you feel like it's all building towards, all of that is building towards the intent to give players a catalog of moves to then take to PvP?
I feel like it has to be.
Yeah.
Because if all I'm doing, at this point, I think I've beaten the 6 marked ones, and I have spent the last few hours just looking for the door that opens when I beat the 6 marked ones. I have no idea where it is. I've looked at the map. It's really hard to find. But having said that, like, if all I'm doing right now is just like getting better to beat these people over again, there's not really much interesting to that. Whereas, I guess I'm basically going to have to jump back in and start to the online and start doing some of the PvP, because if the PvP isn't interesting to me, which I say this having not really done much of it, if it isn't interesting to me, then the game has no depth. But like, if it is, which Tyler says it is pretty cool, then I could see myself potentially spending a while with this game, like, actually, because there's definitely a layer of depth to learning how to play yourself and like figuring out how to control these things, and then finding your combat deck, you call them. It's your deck of moves, and stringing them together and finding a style that works for you. And then there's a layer of depth in learning how to read your opponent and figuring out, like, when they're in this stance, I want to be doing this way, and the specific like micro moves of the types of things that make people who are really good at fighting games, that makes them really good at fighting games, reading your opponent, moving the right way at the right time, and using the right moves when you should. And so there's a lot of depth to that there. So I definitely think that there is a way. There are people who are going to be very interested in this game and very into the depth of the combat system.
Cool.
But yeah, in terms of it's not super, the depth of it is not super user friendly. It definitely takes some. Yeah,
it's opaque. It's hard to come to understand a lot of the systems and consequences of what you're doing. But I sort of admire that.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Mountain Blade in that way, which is a game I haven't played very much, but I read about how it is like considered to be one of the most realistic like fighting, like sword fighting type things, but like the combat itself is actually quite clunky. But like the reason it's clunky is because people have gotten used to simplified combat forms. It's not just a matter of like press A to attack, or press, click your mouse to attack. It's like you have to swing left or right or up or down, and these different things. And Absolver does a nice kind of mixture of that, where yes, you can just sort of tap the button and string through some attacks, and it'll even look cool doing it, but there is definitely a lot more depth to be had.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited to get back in there and sort of figure out my fighting style.
The biggest thing, my takeaway from playing the game, was for the first kind of hour or two, even having Tyler like running around with me, I was like, I am gonna bounce off this game super
Yeah.
hard. Like I kind of don't get it. This is not really that fun. And then as soon as I started customizing my combat deck and realizing how the chains worked and finally started kind of getting the hang of the stances and like, oh, when I use this move, it finishes me in this stance and then it does this. Once I started to figure that out, I was like, okay, now I get it. I'm not good at it, but I at least get it.
That's good. So for those of you who maybe are not into fight, are you typically into fighting games?
Not really.
Okay.
I play like Super Smash Brothers is my fighting game
so
of choice.
You can understand what combos are.
Yeah.
It at least seems to have a nice ramp, even if it's a bit rough at first, getting you, and teaching you its systems. And
the single player or the vague, not even really story, but the PvE of it, we'll call it, sort of does a decent job of that, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, yeah, I highly recommend you go read the review at PCGamer.com because Tyler has some pretty fun anecdotes in there. It opens with a good one about him learning his drunken combat style, and it looks really cool. Also, get the Silly Mask and join our Silly Mask Club.
Indeed.
All right. Let's move on to Twitch chat Q&A. Apologies for the
roundabout.
Yeah, we're our time, because Twitch was all messed up. My brain is not in the right spot. So, Twitch chat Q&A. I'm going to go back up to the questions above, but also I want to address the listener questions we got from our club members first. This one's kind of directed to you, Bo. This comes from JBJ Blaze. In case I don't make it again for the show today, what's the biggest change you'd like to see in Overwatch's 6th competitive season?
It's a tough question. The big thing that I want, we actually sort of had a story about this today, is a much better reporting system and community management for Overwatch, because I think there's been a lot of talk and discussions and sentiment in the community over the last couple months that basically has said like Overwatch is very toxic right now. There's a lot of different factors that have played into that, one of which is the prevalence of the dive meta. People don't really like it's very prevalent. Everyone's playing dive. An important point of that is when dive succeeds, it kills people very quickly, which is not fun to play because you're just dying all the time. And then when it fails, it's actually to pull it off successfully requires coordination and stuff. So it will frequently fail, which then leads to people pointing fingers. It's pretty rare to have somebody being super toxic when you're winning. Gotcha. It happens sometimes. There are people who just want to be toxic all the time, but the toxicity of players is definitely, I mean, I think this is common in any game. Yeah. Like people get angry when you're not winning. And yeah, so there was a post on the Blizzard forums in the last day or two about a guy. He was like, the reporting system it's so stupid. Like I got banned and I shouldn't have been banned. Yeah. And as it turns out, Jeff Kaplan, Overwatch game director, he looked into the thing, and it turns out that this guy is one of the most toxic players like of all of Overwatch. And a very, very, very reasoned. He was banned with very good reason. Okay. That's what I was trying to say. Okay. And the whole post, it was quite funny. He just totally dunks on this dude. He's like, you're terrible. You're a totally toxic player, and you're exactly what we don't want. But the important part of this is it actually spawned this discussion of like, if this player is that toxic and has, I believe they had 2,200, more than 2,000 reports on this account, and yet it had only been banned. Like they were only getting like a week suspension 2 or 3 times. And it's like, if this player is that toxic, like why do they even still have an account? And there were several large threads in the community talking about this and being like, this even though it's funny to see Jeff Kaplan like dunk on this dude, it is an indication that the system is broken. Sure. And so thankfully to that, there was a response from Kaplan saying that they are working on better moderation tools, better reporting tools, trying to, nip the toxicity in the bud much more, at a much better rate in general. So that's my roundabout way of saying that I would like for these things that they say they're working on to come to pass in season 6, and for it to just generally be a happier Overwatch experience for everybody.
It should be. It's such a pretty cartoonish, bright game, and it's a fun game. It's a lot of angry people in there.
Yeah.
Someone, Mutton Bandit. This one's for you, Chris. You've been putting up quite a few articles about No Man's Sky lately, and Mutton Bandit just wants to hear what you have to say about the latest content.
Yeah, they added like 30 hours of story. I have not touched it. I basically I was just kind of flying around to see, and I started finding these kind of new types of planet biomes, which was kind of cool. Every planet in some ways, since they all kind of pull from the same pile of assets, they all are kind of the same at the same time, or there's certain types of planets you just kind of encounter again and again, even if they're not exactly the same. But they added some biomes, and that kind of freshened up my wanting to explore a lot more than I felt in the past, years since it released. So I've been doing that. Found a few kind of weird planets. There wasn't really much to them. They're just something kind of new and different to look at, and there is a bit of excitement the first time, after being to so many planets, to find something completely different than what you've seen. So I've enjoyed that. I've also been trying to you can, I don't think this was in the last update, but it's the last time I played, you can, if you are near a solar system that someone else has discovered, you get a little contact, and you can see that someone has been there in the past. And I think I actually tried to chase someone down a long time ago, but right now it seems like it's so much easier. They fixed whatever it was that would detect nearby discoveries, so you can kind of go and follow someone else's path, which is kind of weirdly interesting. Like if you see someone landed on a planet, you can go down there and you can see, did they try to discover all the creatures? Did they do one and give up? And it's like you're following little traces of another explorer, which has kind of been fun to do for me this time, while also looking for kind of weird ass planets. But I haven't done anything in terms of like the story. I don't know. I don't want to follow a story through the universe. I want to explore and kind of find cool stuff to do. But this has probably been like, I'm not really into the base building thing that much. I think the tools they added are cool. The vehicles are kind of cool. I don't think I really wanted to build a base and mine, set up a mining operation. I kind of wanted to fly around and find something that really felt meaningful or exciting. So it's gotten a little bit of that with some of these new biomes.
Cool. We'll take just one more quick one. DJ Bruce asks, how many tattoos do we have on our back? I just have one, but I'm getting a new one, and it's your name. So look forward to that. That's going to do it for us, though. Apologies again for the delay and maybe a bit of a shorter episode. Thanks for sticking with me a little longer than normal, you two. We're live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. So if you're listening on YouTube or on iTunes or whatever your podcast, RSS subscription app is, leave us a review or stop by if you can. Just your work won't mind, I promise you. Just turn on your speakers. If your boss asks, I'll vouch. I'll write you a note. Join us then. Leave us some feedback if you can, and we'll see you again next week.
Bubsy.
Bye.
Bo, enough of that.
Good Bubsy.